Hello. There we go.
Hello.
Can you hear you?
Yeah.
Are you amazed?
Yeah.
All right. Hello. It's the first serial footnotes in quite a while. I haven't done this since first semester, and theory has been taking over my life. Hello everybody. This is Caitlin. Hi. And I have with me today a friend that I just made. And that's it. The new person on the roster of my friend list. I don't know.
Yeah?
Yeah, this is
yes,
Devon.
Caitlin. Hi, I'm Devon.
That's it.
Yep.
That's your introduction?
Do you want me to say something else?
Well, I mean, you could say something like, "Hi, I'm Devon. I have good blah, blah, blah."
Hi, I'm Devon. I have good hair.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
See? Okay. So that's Devon.
It's purple.
It's purple.
That's why I want to clarify. That's why I
getting
think it's
brown
good.
now.
Well, that's, yep.
Your roots are showing, honey. I'm sorry. Okay. So, you've never been here before.
No, I have not.
And I kind of already explained what's going on, but I'm going to explain it again. So basically what I do on this show is I read from a book that is entirely about serial killers and psychopaths. So I just pick a case and I read to you about it and we talk about it. And then like I said to Devon, we're probably going to have extra time, so we're probably going to talk about two. But yesterday I asked Devon if they wanted to be on the show, and they were like, yeah. And I was like, cool. And they were like, can we talk about Jack the Ripper? And I was like, sure. And apparently they know so much about Jack the Ripper.
I probably don't anymore, but in 7th grade, in 7th grade, I went to USM, or I went to University School of Milwaukee, and for my whole life, and the big thing in 7th grade is Victorian Day. So there's this one day where everybody rents things, all the girls have hoop skirts and like these big puffy gowns. Mine was hot pink, which if you've ever known me is a weird choice.
That does not fit, but that's okay.
I looked real cute, and
usually Devon wears
like,
cargo pants. Just a little bit of a heads up. Cargo pants and the sports bra / binder. Like, hot pink is not a characteristic of Devon.
Wait, can I say the word? Can I say the D word? The DY word? It's not a slur.
DY. Oh, I don't care. I'll just dump it.
I'm in a fairly dyke fashion.
There you go.
And so we study Victorian England, and everybody does a project on someone from the time, and I did mine on Jack the Ripper because I was demented and alone.
Dude, so, I do this show, and I read a really, really messed up letter.
Picture little dead name me, long blonde hair, and for doing this research, I was like looking at pictures of victims and like it was so fascinating and gross, of course, but like now looking back, I'm like, someone should have known something was wrong a lot sooner.
Yeah, well, I mean, my mom likes to text me during the show, and she goes, "Not really a good afternoon topic, but please don't be too graphic. Mom, this is a show about serial killers. I don't think I can't." But like I did do like I read the Grace Budd letter on here. Do you know what the Grace Budd letter is?
No.
It's an Albert Fish thing. He's a cannibal, and he wrote a letter to the family of a girl that he ate.
Wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I read it on air, and I'm pretty sure that's what my mom means is don't do that. All right. So we're gonna start talking about Jack the Ripper.
Jack the Ripper.
If you remember anything about your research, if you like have anything to chime into, please do.
Most of it's pretty graphic from what I remember.
That is exactly what I want.
Oh.
I want
I'm
graphic.
Sorry, Mom.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. I burped.
Side note, Caitlin and I work together in theater, and when we're on headset, she'll be like, also, it's a lot of people on headset who don't know her as well. So she's like, oh, I gotta burp. Okay, I'm good.
And they're just like, I'm sorry, what? And I did give a warning. I was like, everybody, I'm going to let you know I'm going to burp on headset. And I'm really sorry. All right. So Jack the Ripper. His crimes, should I start this like cinematic?
Go for it.
His crimes have been investigated more than... I told you I was going to start cinematic.
don't know what I was expecting.
cinematic.
That was cinematic.
His crimes have been investigated more than those of any other murder. A whole field of study. Ripperology. Ripperology is devoted to puzzling out his identity, and yet 12 decades after his last murder, Jack the Ripper remains an elusive
Sidebar.
and mysterious figure.
I have a question. When I want to chime in, can I just do that?
Well, give me a second to finish the sentence, and then
Okay.
you can chime in.
Okay.
I'll finish the sentence.
I
and
have a
then you can
note
be
about Ripperology.
What is your note about
Do you
Ripperology?
remember? Did you ever have those books when you were little, like Dragonology and
Like,
Egyptology?
I think I
Like
had
it was like a big red book, and then there was also a huge board game that I had. Oh my god, my brother and I would write notes to each other in this secret dragon language.
I love that. Wow.
I'll find
is
I'll
so-
find it next time I go back to my parents and
That
bring
is
it
so
to show you.
ridiculous.
It's the best.
I love it.
Sorry,
We used to have a dinosaur encyclopedia, but we didn't. Are you really just having a good time? You're just enjoying yourself. Okay. Even the number of names and victims have been the subject of considerable debate. Though the majority of ripperologists believed there had been 5 victims, the first being Marianne Nichols, a 43-year-old alcoholic. She had much in common with the victims who would follow in her wake.
You know
Nichols, what was that?
You know what ripperologist sounds like?
Oh my god. What does it sound
So
like?
I've never actually watched The Bachelor, but
Oh my
you know
God.
how when they have the stupid former child, whatever their job is or their title, ripperologist is definitely something somebody would
renowned
put
ripperologist.
there. Renowned.
It'd be like psychologist, ripperologist. Okay. Nichols was estranged from her husband and struggled to support herself through a variety of means. Indeed, at least 4 or 5 women had been pushed further into poverty through the disintegration of their respective marriages. Nichols had been employed in workhouses and worked domestic and had on at least one occasion resorted to stealing. So, I mean, she was in the time, she was unmarried and she stole. That's crazy.
That's hot.
That is exactly what I'm looking for in a woman.
God, that's
Estranged, not married, and steals things. Wow.
so I identify myself, frankly.
Maybe after this one I'll read Ted Bundy.
yes. That's
Okay,
a good
okay.
idea. So let's get through this one.
She also tried to make ends meet as a prostitute, an occupation which, it seems, made her a target of the Ripper. Do you think, based on what you remember, did he only target prostitutes, or did he just?
Very specifically prostitutes.
Okay.
Is what I remember.
And it was his murders were really, really graphic and horrible.
Should I give any pre stuff, or should I wait till you say it?
You should probably wait till I say it.
Yeah, that's probably
I don't care, but you should
I'm
probably wait.
having so much fun with this microphone.
I know, it's I can't stop touching it. Her body was discovered by 2 workmen in early hours of the 31st of August in 1888 on a back street not far from the London hospital. Wow, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
She could have made it to the hospital.
No. Do you want me to explain to you what he did to his victims?
He gutted them, didn't he?
He gutted them. He always threw their intestines over their right shoulder.
That's
Like,
crazy.
or one of the shoulders. I don't remember which
Very
one.
specific.
I'm sure it'll specify there. But
Yeah.
and a lot of people think he was a doctor or
Yeah,
some
because
type
he-
of
it was-
surgeon because of how
it was so
precise
precise.
it was.
Yeah, I remember that.
So
Okay.
maybe that has something to do with it being so close to the hospital.
Yeah, so Nichols had her throat cut, and she had been stabbed repeatedly in the stomach, and her abdomen had been cut open. But that was the first victim,
That
so
was
I
the
guess
first one.
at that point he hadn't really made an MO for himself.
Yeah.
I mean, unless he had victims in the past that weren't
That weren't discovered, but
Yeah.
this was the first.
the first
first
discovered
of
one
many.
that connected him to the murders. 8 days later, the Ripper claimed a second victim, a 47-year-old named Annie Chapman. That's a fun name.
Yeah,
I like that name.
very domestic.
Yeah.
Annie
Maybe,
Chapman. If your name is Annie Chapman, give me a call.
Yeah, hit me up. I don't know how, but you can hit me up. Annie Chapman's
You can look me up
on
on
Facebook.
LinkedIn. Oh,
On LinkedIn. Hire me.
verify me on LinkedIn. Let me be your stage manager.
Yeah, right. Hire me, please. Her body was found at about 6 in the morning. Like Nichols, Chapman's throat had been slashed, completely disemboweled. Her intestines were thrown over one shoulder. Her uterus had been removed and was never found.
Yeah. A little snack
It was
for
only-
later.
Oh my God. Is there any proof that Jack the Ripper? No, because we don't know who he is.
No.
There's no proof that he was a cannibal. but he
No.
could be. Fun fact: Jack the Ripper might have been a cannibal. At approximately 1 o'clock in the morning of the September 30th, the body of Elizabeth Stride, a 45-year-old Swedish
That's
immigrant.
Great last name, Stride. I'm writing that down for future use.
Stride?
Stride.
Maybe like it could be like Annie Stride Chapman.
Nah. Nah.
Any Annie Stride Chapmans out
No
there.
character I ever write will be named Annie because of past experiences with people named Annie.
All Annies that affected
if you're
Dev in the
listening
past.
and you know who you are,
Step forward.
You know who you are.
Contact me at. Okay.
Find me on
Oh,
MySpace.
this is interesting. She also had her throat slit open, but she, apart from an injury for, oh my god, my
Just
brain.
say the words.
I'm working on it, dude. However, apart from an injury to her ear, Stride's body bore none of the butchery suffered by the previous victims. It is generally believed that the Ripper was interrupted before he could proceed any further.
Yeah.
Devon is nodding. That's
Yes, they be.
it. That happened. Presumably dissatisfied
there.
with... What was that?
I said, yeah, I was there.
It happened. I saw it.
I'm Jack.
I
That
am
way-
Jack.
How do you think I know so much? Huh?
It wasn't research. I did it. By the way, in case anybody like freaks out, this happened in 1880. So there
Yeah,
is no
Victorian
possible
England.
way, unless Devon was a vampire or zombie. Stop it. There's no way that could have happened.
Or maybe I just have really good genes.
That doesn't make any sense.
You heard of the Lazarus Pit, buddy?
No, I haven't.
Oh, DC Comics. The Lazarus Pit. Somebody is dead. Like, if somebody is dead, then you put them in the Lazarus Pit. It's water, and it's like whatever. It's magic water, and it's at the League of Assassins, I believe. I don't remember the name. Anyway,
All water's magic water. Stay hydrated, everybody.
And on that note, we're
Take
both
a
gonna
sip.
take a sip of
We're
water.
both gonna take a sip of water.
but
Cheers,
we're gonna
everybody.
make it ASMR. So.
Oh my god. Okay. Presumably dissatisfied with having to leave his work on Stride's body unfinished, the Ripper struck again on the same evening. So he was just like,
Presumably dissatisfied.
he's like, I am not happy with my work. One person died, but I need another, and I need to throw
Because he
their
wanted to
intestines over their
fuck her.
shoulder.
Read it. I'm so sorry. I forgot.
I literally don't care. Anybody that doesn't know, because I'm probably going to be putting this on SoundCloud. Anybody that doesn't know, technically, because this is a Marquette radio show, you're not supposed to swear. So you're going to hear it, and I'm going to be like, ugh. But like, I don't care like if this was outside of Marquette.
Yeah.
But because it's Marquette, Mom, Jesuits. I'm sorry.
I think. Never mind. Continue.
Good talk. The second victim, 46-year-old Catherine Eddowes. Oh, I like that name too. Wow, Jack the Ripper had really good taste in murder victims. They have really cool names.
You just pulled out the phone book.
Do you think? No, but they're prostitutes, aren't they?
Yeah, no, but they were the prostitute. Phone books are sorted by but
But these could be like
grocery
sexy
stores,
prostitute
like,
names.
Well, I don't think that would. Wouldn't consider any of those names sexy. But
Well,
also,
I mean,
it was
but like it's
1888.
1888, so maybe like snazzy or what's a good prostitute name? Holly.
First of
Snazzy.
all, your first instinct was snazzy, not like Crystal or like.
Yeah, Crystal Lake. That is the worst prostitute name I have ever come up with.
I don't know. I'd say, like,
Crystal Lake. Do you like
Am I
water?
allowed to say inappropriate words that aren't swears?
I mean, like I said, I've talked.
Freedom of speech. What about cum dumpster?
Oh my god, I'm dumping that.
Tell me more about
Anyway,
Jack.
I think Catherine Eddowes is a sexy prostitute name.
Okay.
If I ever at some point in my life hired a prostitute, if her name was Catherine Eddowes, I'd marry her.
I don't think that's what prostitutes are for, Caitlin.
That's unfair. You can't crush my dreams.
I mean,
we
you
should
know,
stop talking about prostitutes.
but should we? Because we could also talk about the fact that if you pay a prostitute, well, is a sex
It's like
worker.
a
But
mail
remember
order.
that time when what's his name? The guy who wears the hat in the book.
Sherlock Holmes?
No,
What?
It's I can't even remember the name of the book.
I have no idea.
Holden Caulfield. Holden Caulfield. Holden Caulfield basically pays a hooker for a hug.
We aren't even past the first page.
Oh my god.
That's a good sign. 46-year-old Catherine Eddowes had been picked up for public drunkenness in the previous day by Metropolitan Police. Same. Sorry. She was released about the same time that Stride's body was discovered. Eddowes was last seen alive at approximately 1:30 after talking to an unidentified man. Just 15 minutes later, her body was discovered. Working with great speed, the Ripper had cut her throat, sliced open her abdomen, thrown her intestines over her shoulder, and removed her uterus and left kidney.
Does it specify which shoulder?
No, it just says over her shoulder. He had also mutilated her face.
Yes.
So sometimes he just gets like a little intense. I think at this time he was like angry. So I think he added in
he was frustrated because he tried to kill that.
because he
other
didn't get as
girl.
far as he wanted to.
Yeah.
So I think the mutilation of the face and the extra like steps to take out the kidney, maybe he just like felt like he was
But,
overcompensating.
and one of the insane things, like, if you've watched any medical show, then you know it's not easy to just like find where the kidney is, like, if you're not a trained surgeon.
Oh yeah.
Like, if you were to tell, like, I don't know, I think I know what is on what side of me, but frankly I don't. Like,
Yeah.
he was definitely a surgeon.
I was thinking like Ed Gein kind of did something like that too. Like Ed Gein was really good at like taking out the stuff, but I
Yeah.
guess that was like
He's also really good at binding books and lamps and
Yes.
chairs in human flesh.
and a belt.
God, what a dream.
No, so like Ed Gein, like he was really good at like gutting and like taking out all the stuff and all that good stuff. But I guess he had more time because he took the bodies. You know, like
Yeah.
he took the bodies. Jack the Ripper didn't take the bodies. He left them.
He did
so
that in less than 15 minutes.
Yeah, he had like a very, very small window of opportunity. So he had to have known like where everything was.
Yeah.
Following a relatively long period of inactivity, the final murder took place on November 9th. It's tempting to say that Mary Kelly was quite different from the other victims. She was, for example, at least 2 decades younger than the others. Wow. He killed, like a, 26-year-old? 24-year-old?
Yeah.
Like in the 20s? However, very little is known about Kelly, and as a result, many fanciful stories have been created about her life. In death, she stands apart from the others that she was not killed in a public place, but in her own home. This gave the Ripper a great deal more time than he'd had with his previous victims, and it showed. He just got more and more.
And it showed.
Yeah, and it showed. It's got a picture of her body, but it's in black and white because it's so flippin' gory. And
No,
horrible.
because it was 1888.
Well,
is
that
why
too.
it's in black and white.
Well, yeah, but whatever. Kelly's body was found naked, lying on her bed. The throat had been slashed, her face is mutilated, the entire abdominal cavity had been emptied of its contents, her breasts had been cut off, one had been placed under her head and the other under her right foot. That's weird.
Very specific, yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. Like a pillow and like a shoe
Yeah.
or a sock.
No, under the foot.
Oh. So, like a sock.
No. She didn't put her foot inside the boob.
I think that'd be interesting. The boob.
No, the breast was like
Under the foot. I get it. But, like, how interesting would it be if he stretched it around her foot?
No. What next?
Okay, moving on. Her
I
liver
think
was...
Caitlin's gonna murder me, you guys, and make me wear my boobs as feet. As socks.
No, not you. Never you. Her liver was found between her feet. Some of the flesh removed from the abdomen and thighs had been placed on the table, but her heart was never found. He had to be a cannibal.
That's kinky.
Stop it. What do you think he did with that stuff? Like,
He kept it.
I mean, could he have just like kept it?
Yes, absolutely.
Like
He
kept it on salt?
kept it and then buried it eventually or something to get rid of it. Or
Yeah.
just maybe he ate it. Who knows?
Do you think I
Or
definitely think now
maybe they were short on organ donors. at the hospital he worked at. So he was really doing a public service.
He was forcibly taking organs
Yeah, you know, you
and
gotta
giving
do
them
what
to
you gotta
people.
do.
But then he would have to like have had like a cooler or something on hand right
Who
away
said he didn't? Also,
because it was
hear me out.
1888.
And I don't think transplants had been invented yet.
Okay. Through a number of victims claimed by Jack the Ripper pales when though the number of victims claimed by Jack the Ripper pales when compared to those of Mary Ann Cotton, he has become a legend in a way that she has not. Do you know who Mary Ann Cotton is?
Sounds familiar.
Mary Ann Cotton, basically, she's the story before them. She killed a lot of people. You probably could have guessed that. I think I heard about her once, and I have no idea what. I don't remember anything about.
Wow, you know what? We love a woman in power.
You know what's funny? Kelsey said the same thing when I was talking about Eileen Wuornos.
Yeah.
She's like, "Yeah, go girl," but also no, don't do that.
Well, the thing is, I'm guarantee you there were more female serial killers, but they just got away with it because we know how to get blood out of clothes. I stole that from something I saw on Tumblr in like middle school, probably.
Tumblr has a lot of important things to say. Apparently,
golden age Tumblr, which was like when I was in middle school,
Oh,
and
yeah.
like going into high school.
dude,
but
I remember being obsessed with Tumblr.
once they started the content ban, nah.
No more porn. Sign me out.
One of my best friends, if you're listening, hi. She's not. She doesn't live here. One of my best friends was like had like 10,000 followers on her like
Oh boy.
lesbian porn blog,
Yes.
and it was like a very tasteful blog, and it was so good. And then now all of hers, and like she can still see all of it, but nobody else.
can. Yeah, because
Yeah.
anyway.
Anyway.
While the butchery that accompanied his murders provides something of an explanation for his discrepancy, the role of the media cannot be ignored. Jack the Ripper killed at a time when inexpensive mass circulation newspapers were in their ascendancy. News of the crime spread rapidly through Great Britain and elsewhere. Some papers sought to exploit the crimes by reporting other murders as the work of Jack the Ripper. So could this be like a sort of like people were trying to, I guess,
Copycat?
report? Yeah,
Is that what you're
report on copycat killers.
I don't remember that being the case, but I do know that there were other, like, in the U.S. a few years after his, like, in the U.S. there were very similar cases shortly after he stopped killing in Europe.
I mean,
So
could the
it's
mass
rumored that he moved to the U.S. and started working as a surgeon here and
Oh.
kept killing.
I mean, I'm thinking like world media. I can't believe you mocked me like that. World media like wasn't as mass produced as like
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, obviously as it is now. So like, would it have gotten to the U.S. as quickly? Like, it probably wouldn't have gotten to the U.S. Like,
oh yeah, no, for sure.
so like, if there were like killings like that, it would have had to be like significantly after when like people started hearing about it. So if that's not the case, then it's entirely possible that he moved to the U.S. You know?
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now. So there, yeah. Anyway, if we want to, sorry, I was reading. H.H. Holmes is like the most, he's like the most thought to be Jack the Ripper.
Really?
Well, no, he's wait. Holmes. Okay, so I'm just gonna read this out loud. In American Ripper, a new 8-part series premiering on History on July 11th.
Don't even tease me. That sounds so good.
I know.
I want to watch it.
The great-great-grandson of H.H. Holmes claims America's first serial killer was London's notorious Jack the Ripper. So some believe that H.H. Holmes might be Jack the Ripper.
But H.H. Holmes, well, I mean, I guess that would kind of, like, make sense, but his, like, M.O. was, like, all
Jack
torture.
the Ripper identified by DNA evidence, forensic scientists claim.
Lies.
Identified had a forensic investigation published in the Journal of Forensic Sciences has identified the killer as Aaron Kosminski, a 23-year-old Polish barber and prime suspect at the time.
He's a barber.
Well, yeah. So he's good with a razor, but like,
I mean,
they use straight
good
blades
with a
back
razor on faces.
Sweeney Todd.
God.
Kosminski was previously named as a suspect over 100 years ago, and once again in a 2014 book by British businessman and Ripper researcher Russell Edwards. But the latest finding marks the first time that Edwards' DNA has been published in a peer-reviewed journal.
How do you keep DNA for that long?
I have no idea. They compared fragments of mitochondrial DNA, which the magazine noted is inherited from one's mother. Oh, so from his great-great-grandkid, who's like giving the interview.
Interesting.
But if it's inherited from one's mother, then
I don't know.
that one, because he's not connected to his dad. So anyway,
I don't know. This is not the kind of show that will be able to identify the identity of Jack the Ripper anytime. But so we haven't even gotten to suspects yet. Where was I? Some papers sought to exploit the crimes by reporting other murders as the work of Jack the Ripper. There is even a debate among ripperologists as to the validity of the Jack the Ripper name, first used in a letter dated September 25th in 1888.
Oh yeah, I forgot he sent tons of letters.
Yep, which was received by the Central News Agency.
To the police office too.
What?
He sent one to the police office too, I think. Later on.
Do you know any of what they said?
He signed them the Ripper, I think.
Is that it? Like, did he detail his crimes or anything like that?
I don't remember. Sorry, it was in 7th grade.
That's okay. It's okay. Some have argued that it was a hoax created to sell newspapers. Shortly after its publication, the Metropolitan Police were inundated with hundreds of letters bearing the epithet.
Epithet. Do you know what that means?
It's probably
it's like
the
what you
signature.
sign off with. Yeah.
There were, of course, other factors which made the case of Jack the Ripper intriguing. His savagery appeared to escalate, reaching the crescendo with the murder of Mary Kelly. He appeared to have some education in surgery, most evident in his ability to eviscerate, Catherine Eddowes in a matter of mere minutes. Above all, he was clever, he was never caught, hence the speculation which continues to this day as to his identity. But like I said, he would probably get caught now.
Yeah, he would absolutely get caught.
He would definitely get caught now.
Everything's recorded.
Everything's recorded. And
or people would notice they were missing faster.
And I feel like back then, because most of them are prostitutes, or I guess troubled
cared
women.
About them then.
Nobody
they were
cared.
Disposable.
Yeah, so they were kind of oh no, these murders are happening. So let's try to figure it out. But also, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. That did make sense. Police officials at the time named 6 suspects as possibly being Jack the Ripper. The most interesting of these is Montague John Druitt, a barrister.
Whoa. Say that name one more time. Montague John Druitt. That's hot. That's my stripper name.
Hi, I'm Montague John Druitt.
Would you like a lap dance today?
Stop it. A barrister and an assistant schoolmaster, Druitt committed suicide by drowning shortly after the murder of Mary Kelly. So that's a thing.
Yeah.
A coroner's jury concluded that he had been of unsound mind. Much of the contemporary interest of Druitt rests on his statements that investigators had private information, which led some to conclude that he was the murderer.
Nah.
I feel like that's not conclusive enough.
No. And because there were more.
Yeah. Among the most cited suspects is Prince Albert Victor, the grandson of Queen Victoria. One theory is that the prince suffered from syphilis and was driven insane by the disease, but it is countered by the royal records.
Not how syphilis works, but okay.
Sometimes you get a little
they also
crazy.
Didn't take baths back then, so what do they know?
That always stresses me out because I'm like, man, the Victoria times are so pretty, and then you're like, man, it must have smelled so bad.
It's like when you see people in Mad Men or something, and everybody's smoking constantly. It's like that must have smelled awful.
You must have everybody just I don't know. Sometimes everything looks pretty, but
I'm glad smell-o-vision isn't real.
Oh my god, that would be horrible. Ugh, now I'm grossed out. But this is countered by the royal records, which show him to have been away from London on the dates of each of the murders. But I mean, that could have easily been forged.
Yeah, get a ticket.
Plus, he's rich, so people are like, "Oh, you're rich.
Eat the rich.
Feed the earth."
That project turned out really good. I just presented it.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
My
eyes hurt so much.
Mine too. Like, I was walking here and my eyes were watering. I was like, this sucks. All right. There are other theories which place Prince in a supporting role, most notably as the father of a child placed under the care of Mary Kelly. That's interesting. According to the most common version of this theory, Kelly was one of the several women murdered by the physician Sir William Gull in an effort to suppress a scandal that would have jeopardized the future of the monarchy. I mean, that kind of puts him in connection with only one of the people. Does that mean that the ultimate victim would have been Mary Kelly?
I guess so.
That's interesting. Because that means that all the victims beforehand would have just been practice victims. But if he was just practicing on them, why were the crimes so violent? You know, like, why weren't they all identical if he was just practicing? Like, was he planning on doing
Maybe he
everything
was
like that to Mary Kelly?
No, maybe he was like figuring out what he liked, what worked, what he was good at, what was easy and fast.
But if that's the case, wouldn't he have done the same thing to the victim before Mary Kelly than
Maybe
what he did to her? You know what I mean?
Like, yeah, no, I do know what you mean, but maybe he was like, okay, when I did this to them, he was like, I already did that. Now I wanted, like, he has a specific plan for her, and he wanted to try other stuff.
Mm-hmm. But then does that mean that he needs, like, like he has a certain MO?
Experimentation is normal.
No, yeah. Shut up.
Especially for college-age people.
Stop it.
I'm not wrong.
Just stop it.
Any queers out there?
Stop it. Some ripperologists suspect Joseph Barnett, once the live-in lover of Mary Kelly, the Ripper's last victim. So these are all Mary Kelly connections. I mean, so I guess people are, like, right now suspecting that Mary Kelly is the, like, ultimate victim. Like, you know, the person that, I guess, is, like, the final.
Yeah.
I guess.
The end game.
The end game. The thinking of this theory goes that Barnett committed their first murder, or the first 4 murders, as a way of scaring Kelly into giving up prostituting herself with other men. Mortars. More mortars. The first 4 mortars. When this proved ineffective, he flew into a rage and murdered his girlfriend.
Me too.
I mean, that might be true. I don't know. I don't know anything about this. My main source for knowledge in, like...
Why did he murder his girlfriend? He got mad?
He got mad because she didn't stop prostituting herself. So, like, he tried to warn her by killing the other victims.
Oh.
And then killed her because she wouldn't stop prostituting herself. I just feel like it's too... That's, like, a really hate-related crime.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the murders are so hateful. I feel like that's so crazy. Okay. Thus, Barnett's link with Kelly would explain why the Ripper ceased killing after her murder. But they'll also...
Her murder.
All right, whatever. Among the more fanciful theories is one claiming that Charles Dogston, better known as Lewis Carroll, the author of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, confessed his crimes through a series of anagrams found throughout the work. That
seems like
sounds
a
like a
weird
conspiracy
coincidence. That's... First of all, that is something Lewis Carroll would do. Because he
Wasn't
was
he crazy?
Like, also in love with his niece, I think, whose name was Alice, right?
Woof.
Something like that.
Woof. But yeah,
so that's Jack the Ripper.
That's Jack the Ripper.
I love him so much. Correction. I love learning and, like, discussing him. I don't support his actions.
I get it. I have to disclose that every single time.
It's like, you know, that has the same energy as, like, when someone posts, like, a really sad status on Facebook, and, like, now there's tons of reactions, but before you were just like, what do I like? Like, oh, their grandma died. Do I like that post? Or, like, somebody would post about, like, their dog died, and I'm like, I want to show that I'm supporting them. I was trying to understand
what you were talking
without
about.
leaving a comment, but if I like it, I'm like, good, your dog died, you know?
No, that's why I always put a heart.
Well, yeah, but now that's the thing, but for most of Facebook's history, it wasn't.
Alrighty.
Teddy boy.
So we're gonna move on to our second one because we've got time. So I've been reading a book written by Ted Bundy's longtime girlfriend Elizabeth.
Partner. Commonwealth. I think they had a Commonwealth marriage legally, right? How long did they live together?
They were together.
I think it's 7 years.
Yeah, like 5 to 7 years. Where I'm at in the book right now, they're not married.
Oh, okay.
And she keeps I don't think they ever
I don't think
really
they get married.
they never get married. But it's written her surname, I guess, her like alias name. She doesn't like using her name, the name of her late husband, because she wants to protect the family's identity. But her name is Elizabeth Kendall. Now her name is Elizabeth Kendall. But I'm reading the book written by her, which is I think called The Phantom Prince: My Life with the Phantom Prince, and it is so good. It's crazy.
Can I read it when you're done?
Absolutely. We've talked about
Yay.
this.
Oh, sorry.
I'm like halfway through. And it's just talking about like all of her emotions leading up to her call to the police reporting Ted. Like she's called the police I think 4 times. Just like probably more than 4 times, just like cuz she's so worried that Ted is connected to these murders. And she's so dependent on him, and like the story's just crazy. But that's why we suggested to read Ted Bundy, because we were just so excited, or I was so excited, because I was like, oh my god, I can read about Ted Bundy.
And the movie, The Terribly Wicked, Shockingly Vile, whatever that one is.
Yeah,
I love
it's a great movie.
It's phenomenal.
I haven't watched the Ted Bundy tapes though. I need to.
I haven't either.
I need to. Maybe I'll do that when I go home. I got a lot of extra time today.
We can do that next time.
Heck yeah. Anyway, I would like to read about Ted Bundy. To you, because I don't know, all the connections in the book right now, I think would just really be cool in reading this. I should probably finish the book before I do this, but screw that, I'm not doing that. So, are you ready? An intelligent, charming, good-looking law student who already had a degree in psychology, Ted Bundy seemed destined for a brilliant future. But also, he was kind of a scumbag because he stole a lot of shit. Anyway, some in the Republican Party saw him as a potential future governor in the state of Washington, and yet...
Clarification. That's why he was a scumbag.
No, that's not the only reason.
Because he stole stuff. Also, you swore.
I'm over it. Sorry, Jesuits.
Sorry, Jesuits. Eat my feet.
Eat my feet. Yeah, people saw him as a future governor of Washington, yet he ended up being sentenced to death by the electric chair. Woohoo! Ted Bundy. Let's go. You found another granola bar. Everything's great. Ted Bundy's dead. Dev found a granola bar.
Life is good.
Life is good. Bundy was born on November 24th, 1946 at the Elizabeth Lund Home for Unwed Mothers in Burlington, Vermont. The identity of his father has always been a matter of speculation. Bundy's birth certificate is at odds with the name provided by his mother, Louise Cowell. I have to swallow spit. I have a lot of it. There is some evidence pointing to incest, that Bundy was fathered by his grandfather.
Woof. Woof.
As an infant, he was adopted by his grandparents and grew up believing his mother to be his older sister.
That's wild.
He actually, I think, in the book, Elizabeth talks about, the fact that, he's illegitimate and, how, I think he found out, when he was in, high school. And, he had no idea until high school. And she was talking about how, messed up that made him. How, she noticed that it did make him, different and that he was affected by that.
So he thought his older sister was a fully grown woman and his parents were old?
Well, I think that, I have a friend whose parents are 60, and she graduated college.
My parents are in their 50s, but they had me and my brother late because they had trouble having kids.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's entirely possible that, and plus in the 1950s probably had kids early. I don't know. So they probably weren't very old. They were probably in their 40s, something like that. And I feel like that's not too weird, right?
Oh no, that's totally, yeah.
If they were my grandparents' age, that'd be a little...
That's what I would, because I was picturing, I was like, well, if somebody told me my grandparents were my parents, I would know.
Well, because I bet the mom was in her 20s.
My grandparents were in their 80s.
Yeah. So it might have just been that the grandparents had the daughter really, really young and then decided to have Ted, but maybe that's what he thought. But yeah, so he grew up thinking that his grandparents were his parents and his sister was his big sister. or his mom was his big sister. It wasn't until the university years that Bundy would learn the truth of the relationship. So yeah, when he was in college.
University years band name?
I like that.
Me too.
I feel like every
I
band
feel
name.
like that's something else, though. I feel like university years sounds too much like something.
Probably.
Like a punk pop band that I know, but I can't remember what their
I'd
name
probably
is.
say alt rock because
The
I think
Wonder
every
Years,
band
that's
name.
what I was thinking about.
Ah, yes. His earliest years were spent in Philadelphia, which, after which he and his sister quotes, moved to live with relatives in Tacoma, Washington. The year after their relocation, when he was 4, Louise met a Navy veteran named Johnny Culpepper Bundy. Culpepper. I like
cute.
that.
I like
Johnny
that a lot.
Culpepper. God, lots of stripper names today. They're all good. And she met him at a church singles night. Within months, they married, and Johnny adopted his bride's brother. That's so stressful.
Wait, can you repeat that?
Within months, they were married, and Johnny, who's Louise Cowell. Louise Cowell met Johnny Culpepper Bundy, and they married, and then he adopted Ted, who was supposedly his brother, but it wasn't his brother. It was her son.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
Got it.
He adopted Ted, basically. The Bundy family quickly grew to 5 children. As the eldest, Ted spent much of his free time babysitting. Despite this contact, he remained emotionally detached from the rest of the family, feeling that they were beneath him. I feel like Ted felt a lot of people were beneath him.
I think it's... Yeah.
I mean, obviously, he's
Yeah.
a sociopath. Bundy was an excellent student. That's not what I heard.
He was gonna be a lawyer.
Yeah.
He was a very good student.
Yeah, but he struggled in school.
Doesn't mean he wasn't a good student.
No, but according to according to Elizabeth, he had a really hard time, I guess, like, in school. Like, he had a really hard time. Sometimes he skipped out on classes. Like, he oftentimes tried really hard to, like, get into schools, or, like, he said he was trying really hard to get into schools and never actually got into schools because he never actually applied.
Oh.
And there were, like, times where, like, he said that he was going to go to a certain semester, and then he didn't do the semester, and, like, lied to Elizabeth about it. Like, there's this whole, like, side of, like, education for Ted that Elizabeth talks about, and it just seems like he is only doing school for, I guess, like, I don't know. It seems like he's just doing it for, like, a title, you know? Like, I don't think he actually, like...
Yeah.
It's interesting because they said he was an excellent student, and it's like it doesn't sound like he's an excellent student. Though an active Methodist serving as vice president of the Methodist Youth Fellowship, he remained shy and introverted through his teenage years. Bundy's participation in the church is also at odds with his criminal activity. And here we go. He started shoplifting while in high school, and he progressed to stealing skis and forging lift tickets, and he was arrested twice as a juvenile. Handsome and articulate, he appeared to be a generous young man. While attending the University of Washington, he gave his time to the Seattle Crisis Clinic on Suicide Prevention Helpline.
That's surprising.
But also, like, you kind of got to think, like, is he just doing this for the recognition?
Or, like, does it turn him on to be, like, talking to people who want to kill themselves?
Oh, I don't know. One of his co-volunteers, a young Anne Rule, said she would go on to write The Stranger Beside Me, the finest and most famous biography of the serial killer. Okay. In the summer of 1969, Bundy visited Vermont, where he finally learned the truth about his parentage. The news served to create a greater distance between himself and the Bundy clan. Well, yeah. If he was already messed up as a kid.
Yeah.
Like, that would just really... Ugh. He returned to the University of Washington and became a psychology major. It was during this year that he met a young divorcee, and the two entered into a relationship that would last 7 years.
Is that Elizabeth?
That's her. That's Elizabeth. Oh my God. My book is falling out of my hand. In 1972, Bundy graduated with honors and soon began working for the Republican Party.
No, it was a lot different.
Oh,
than
he
this,
was
so I'm not mad
he
at
was a
him.
mad Republican.
But, like, I'm not mad at him because that means something a lot different now.
No, yeah, definitely. But he Elizabeth did talk about like
I'm
his
gonna be a
stance.
Democrat. I should have a podcast about John Mulaney and just only quote John Mulaney the whole time.
I think you should do it with Eric. That'd be fun.
I think Eric and I should do a gay podcast anyway.
Yeah, and he should talk about politics and
Yeah.
get angry.
And I should just be gay.
Yeah,
That's all
works
I'm good
perfectly.
for.
I love it.
Yeah.
Great idea. Write it down. During a trip to California in the summer of 1973, he also resumed dating another woman, a former girlfriend from university,
Oh.
though he continued to date the first woman he proposed marriage to the second.
Woof.
He ended the engagement. I haven't gotten there yet. Oops.
I didn't know that part.
I don't know that part. He ended the engagement after 2 weeks and later revealed that the engagement had been made so as to hurt his fiancée when rejecting her.
Oh my god. That is some
That's sick.
big dick energy right there.
Oh my god. Within weeks, he would begin the first of 2 strings of murderous attacks. Yay. That's horrible. Shortly after midnight.
Horrible.
That's horrible. Shortly after midnight on January 4th, 1974, Bundy gained access to the basement bedroom of an 18-year-old student at the University of Washington.
How old was he at this point?
I don't know. He was in college. He graduated, I think. So probably around like 22, 23. Because he was graduated from college.
He looks older
I
in
don't
that
think,
picture.
I think this is a picture for something else.
No.
I'll read the caption when I get there. Bundy, blah, blah, blah. He took a metal rod from her bed frame, bludgeoned her as she slept, and sexually assaulted her.
Yeah. Didn't he, like, shove it? I think that's what he did.
I don't know.
And, I don't want to be too graphic.
No,
but
it's fine. I got
yeah.
you. Discovered by her roommate the next morning, she survived the attack but suffered permanent brain damage.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. On the evening of January 31st, he broke into the room of another University of Washington student, 19-year-old Linda Ann Healy. She was knocked unconscious, dressed, wrapped in a bedsheet, and carried away. Her body eventually discovered a year later. A year later. That's crazy. On March 12th, Bundy kidnapped and murdered Donna Gail Manson, a 19-year-old student at Evergreen State College in Olympia, Washington. On April 17th, 18-year-old Susan Rancourt disappeared from the campus of Central Washington State College in Ellisonburg. Having procured victims from the 3 different Washington State institutions of higher learning, Bundy moved his operation south to Oregon State University in Corvallis, from which he abducted a 22-year-old student named Kathy Parks on May 6th. In June, 2 more women were abducted by Bundy, never to be seen again.
Oh, my God.
And Elizabeth actually... What was it?
Do they know what happened to them?
Probably bad things.
Yeah.
I don't know. But Elizabeth talks about this too. She's talking about so when he's in Washington, I think they're living Devon's mic just fell off the stand.
That was really
and it kind of just happened out of nowhere. Put it back on. You got it.
I got it. You
No,
can
you-
keep going.
Okay. Elizabeth talks about this. So she's worried that he has something to do with these murders, and then he says that he's moving to Utah. Oregon? No,
Utah's a state.
not Utah. She says he moves, and she's like, okay, it's going to be great. It's not going to be great, but, like, my mind is going to be at ease because these murders are going to keep going, and Ted's going to be in a different place, so that's going to put him off the trail. But her friend gets in contact with her who lives where he lives, and she's like,
Yo,
Hey.
people are going missing.
yeah, she's like, hey, it's
No,
happening
sir.
here, too.
I'm going to move just this way because my neck hurts.
No, it's okay. She's like, hey, that's happening here, too. So that just puts Elizabeth more in, like, stress.
Yeah.
So she has like this really ongoing thing with the police. The worst part about this is the police are like, yeah, we've checked this guy out twice, and they
He's
check him
clean.
again, and they're like, he's fine. Like we've checked him out, and she just
I don't think. Okay.
She
There's
has-
got to be more to that.
well, she has like this constant feeling. She's just like, something's wrong. I'm very worried. Like it's weird because like I think I had the book with me actually. I'm gonna show you the picture of the sketch that she.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh, I miss when I had food.
So it's called The Phantom Prince: My Life with Ted Bundy. So there's a picture that she found in one of the news clippings that her friend showed her, and she like had to go over like the pieces that like looked like Ted and the pieces that didn't. So she was like, okay, well the jawline is like Ted's and the laugh lines are like Ted's, but the hair isn't like Ted. So she had to like just like pick and
Oh my
pick apart
gosh.
this drawing composite sketch to just like set her mind at ease. And like even after calling the police and having them say that he's checked out, she's still worried, especially because there are moments where she like finds like there's an
Also,
abduction.
Ted like spends a lot of time with her young daughter.
Yeah, but she's also just like, he's so good with Molly.
Yeah, Molly.
Like, I don't understand. She's like, not my Ted. My Ted couldn't do this. But she apparently went into his room and found like crutches in his room, and like in one of the kidnappings he was using crutches. So she was like, what are these crutches doing here? And he said that it was like his landlord's crutches or something. But she was like, told the police.
That's where my landlord keeps their stuff.
Yeah, right.
In my apartment.
And she told the police, she's like, I found crutches, and he's got like cast stuff too, like the cast plaster.
Yeah.
And she found it, and she was like, why do you have this? And he's like, you never know when you're gonna break your leg.
Not how casts work.
And he's used casts to kidnap women before. So she's like very suspicious and telling the police all this, and they still check him out. And she's like, okay.
They still check him out?
They still check him out.
Wait, what does that
mean? It
they
means
still
he's
say
clear.
He's checked out.
Yeah,
okay.
they're like.
But they don't. It's not like they didn't look. They did, and he explained things away.
Exactly.
It's not like the police were bad at their job.
No, it's just like, I guess the connections weren't connected enough, you know? Like, it just didn't work enough for, like, the case, which it just blows my mind because it turns out that this guy that got checked 3 times was the guy that did it. On the evening, I already did that. Many of his abductions were performed with the aid of a false plaster cast on his arm, which is something that Elizabeth found in his room. His method was to approach young women and ask whether they could help him carry some books or a briefcase. His most audacious and daring abductions occurred in broad daylight on July 14th in Lake Sammamish State Park in Issaquah, Washington. And that's the one...
Lake Sammamish.
Lake Sammamish. And
hey,
that's another thing that Elizabeth did.
I'm hungry. I'm going to go get a Sammamish from the AMU.
I hate you. But she goes, I've never been to that lake, and I don't think Ted's ever been to that lake, so I don't know why he decided that day to go to that lake. And she was like, I wasn't in contact with him that day, but that night he called me and he seemed fine. But he did go to Lake Sammamish, like, that earlier that day.
Did he tell her that?
I think he did. I think he told her that he went to the lake, and he was like, I just felt like going to the lake that day. And she's like, but he's never been there before then. And she told this to the police, too, and he was like, oh, it's whatever. And I was just like, what?
Believe women.
It blows my mind. And she just has this feeling in her heart that, like, she cannot shake, which I just think is crazy. 5 women told police that a man with his left arm in a sling, calling himself Ted, had asked whether they could help unload a sailboat from his Volkswagen.
First of all, he uses his real name.
Isn't that so stupid? And she's like,
I give people my fake name when they ask me what my name is in a limo, because there's like, that's a rule at limos that you don't have to give out your name, and you're really not supposed to.
Yeah, I do that with, like, I don't know. It's just like, but then the police, even then, like, that's like a whole thing too. The police are like, why would they use his real name? Why would he use his real name? It doesn't necessarily have to be a guy named Ted, does it? Like, and they said, like, the suspect that they thought it wasn't even Ted. It was like some other guy. Yeah, but the thing is, like, they described the Volkswagen Beetle as being like metallic. And they were, like, positive that it was metallic. And according to Elizabeth, Ted's Beetle was, like, a brown.
He bought a brown
beetle.
That's I've never seen a brown beetle, and I never want to.
Oh, Ted Bundy's beetle is ugly.
Ugh.
But according to them, they described it. They were like, you'd be surprised at how many Volkswagen Beetles people own. And this one is metallic, and she's like, okay, well that's fine because Ted's is brown. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Also, he didn't have a sailboat, so she was like, he doesn't have a sailboat. They couldn't have helped him with the sailboat because he doesn't have a sailboat. And she made a joke about that because she got him. I'm sorry, I'm really excited.
You're good.
She got him a present, like a raft for like Christmas or something.
Yeah.
And she said, "Oh, well, this guy wanted a sailboat off," and he goes, "Yeah, I guess it would be damning if the guy asked to help unload the raft from the top of his car," and then they laughed about it. And I'm like, "Oh God, that blows my mind."
Oh my God.
Yeah. That day, 2 women went missing. 19-year-old Denise Nosland and 23-year-old Janice Ott. The letter was last seen in his company. And I think Elizabeth at one point talked to Janice Ott's husband. I think I just got to that part where she talks to Janice Ott's husband about the murders. Police circulated the descriptions of Ted and his beetle throughout the Seattle area, receiving thousands of responses. Among those who reported Bundy as a possible suspects were one of his former psychology professors and his girlfriend and Anne Rule. Their warnings were pretty much ignored.
Really? So the police ignored them?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm wondering, like, they said that they checked him out, but, like, she kept calling them, so they might have just wanted her to stop calling.
If that many people think it's that one person, even if you check them out.
It's 3 people. Like, that's crazy. By early September, the remains of Bundy's victims begin to turn up around the area of Issaquah. By this point, he had already killed 2 more women and moved to Utah, where he enrolled at the University of Utah's College of Law, which was his last pick of colleges.
Really?
He didn't get accepted to any colleges.
Did he actually apply?
He did. He applied to a bunch of law schools, but his last pick was University of Utah, and he ended up going back because he was like, oh, okay.
My dad went to Georgetown Law. So.
My roommate goes to Marquette Law. So.
My neighbor almost died.
Devon, where did that come from?
As I was walking here, my neighbor was coming home, and she's like taking the LSAT next weekend.
Ah.
So.
Okay. During his first, during that first term, he killed a total of 4 Utah girls, aged 16 and 17, including the daughter of a police chief. And this is when when Elizabeth's friend was like, "It's happening in Utah. This is Utah. This is the one I meant." He also saw the escape of one of his intended victims, Carol Duranch.
How's it spelled?
Daronch. Ranch. Whatever.
She's dead now. It doesn't matter.
God, Dev, how could you be so insensitive?
No, she lived.
She's not dead.
Well, now she's dead. Is
Oh,
what I'm
she's
saying.
dead.
It's
Yeah. Anyway,
it's
Bundy
the year of
lured
the
her to
queer,
his car.
2020.
Bundy lured her to her car, into his car on the pretense that he was a police officer. When he attempted to handcuff,
That's illegal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so is murdering people.
Yeah, but like mostly impersonating a police officer.
He attempted to handcuff her to his car. Wait, what am I reading? When he attempted to handcuff her and beat her with a crowbar, she fought back and managed to escape.
Yes.
Later providing the authorities with an accurate description of Bundy.
Oh, finally.
Which includes the curly hair that Elizabeth was so freaked out about it. Yay. In his second term, beginning in January 1975, he claimed 4 more victims. The first 3 females in their 20s were killed, each killed in Colorado. The fourth, a 13-year-old named Lynette Culver, Bundy abducted her from a school playground in Pocatello, Idaho. He then took her to his room at a nearby Holiday Inn where she was raped and drowned in the bath. That's horrible. Another young girl, 15-year-old Susan Curtis, was killed during his summer break from law school.
Yeah.
On August 16, 1975, Bundy was arrested when he failed to stop for a police officer. In searching his beetle, police discovered an ice pick, a crowbar, handcuffs, and the other items that they believe might be burglary tools.
Burglary tools?
Yeah.
Those are murder tools. How would it...
Yeah, but
Iceberg.
but then it says further investigation revealed a more sinister purpose. You know, like murder. Murder.
You know that one like planet movie that Benedict Cumberbatch voiced over, and he can't say the word penguin, so he says it differently every time. The penguins, the penguins. It's
That's so cute. Okay.
I think about it most
We're
days.
talking about Ted Bundy. How did we get to Benedict Cumberbatch?
I love one man.
If Benedict Cumberbatch could play a murderer, who would he play?
Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes wasn't a murderer.
H.H. Holmes was. He took on his name. He took on the name Sherlock. I'm kidding. Sherlock Holmes was fiction. I know a lot about Sherlock Holmes. I've written multiple papers on it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow, you do a lot of things.
Not well.
I feel like I know
Jack
so much
of all
more about
trades.
you. Jack of the Ripper of all trades. That was horrible.
I'm leaving.
Anyway,
Bye.
I'm leaving. I'm out of here.
Push against me on our feet. There we go.
There we go. Further investigation revealed a more sinister purpose, of course, murder. On, on March 1st, 1976, he was sentenced to 15 years in prison for the kidnapping of Carol Ronk.
The ranch.
Send him to the ranch! You know, Dr. Phil. Anyway, authorities in Colorado, meanwhile, were pursuing murder charges, and by 1977 had enough evidence to charge him with the murder of a woman who disappeared while on a ski trip with her fiancé. What are you doing?
That hurts so
Oh
bad.
my god.
I took my headphones off to crack my neck. And then
You hit yourself in the face with them.
as I was putting them on, punched my,
I think
really
it was
rammed the hard
graceful.
plastic into my eyebrow.
You know the movie Black Swan?
Is this why
You're
I'm
Natalie
single?
Portman. No. There are more reasons.
Oh.
Oh. Brought to the Picton County Courthouse in Aspen on June 7th, 1977, Bundy was given permission to visit the courthouse library. From there, he managed to escape by jumping from a second-story window. I love that. I mean, I don't love it.
That scene in the movie is phenomenal.
It's
He's
so
going to
good.
do research in the.
No, he calls someone.
Yeah, no, that's what he is. He's calls some. Oh my god.
He goes to take
And
a
then-
call, and then
But also something that's cool in the movie is that you see him practicing and getting his ankles up to that strength because he would practice in his jail
in his cell, yeah.
Hopping,
from the bunk
jumping
bed.
from the bunk beds over and over. And at first I was like, what is this? And then you figure out it's conditioning. Because if he were to do that without training, he would have broken his
Oh,
ankles.
absolutely. I think he still hurt himself a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, that was crazy. When I saw the movie, I actually knew that was happening. I was like, he was training himself. I'm like, he's training to jump out the window. That's awesome. I mean, not awesome, but awesome. From there, he managed to escape by jumping from a second-story window. He ran and then strolled through the streets of Aspen, making his way to the top of Aspen Mountain. He became lost and disoriented. 6 days later, Bundy came upon a car, which he stole.
Like you do with his iceberg.
He steals a lot. As he drove back to Aspen, two patrolmen pulled him over for having dimmed headlights, and he was recognized immediately and arrested. So I think it's not funny, but I guess coincidental, that every time the police have caught this man, it has been a complete accident. Like, they caught him because he was speeding or because he didn't stop.
Pull over.
He wouldn't pull over, and then they caught him because his headlights were too dim.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
Like that's karma.
Yeah. But I think it's interesting, back to the stealing, is like Elizabeth. So I'm going to quote this. So what she said was there was one time where she visited. This is one of the. She said that Ted only got mad at her a few times, like his temper broke a few times. But one of the most memorable times, was when she went to his house and he showed her his room and it was completely furnished with new stuff, and she asked him if he stole any of it, and he didn't answer. And she was so upset with him. She was like, you got to stop stealing. You're going to throw away your career. You're going to ruin your life. And just saying all these things about, like, how just him stealing is just going to ruin him. And basically, he grabbed her and told her, I'm saying this quote, sorry, Jesuits. He said, if you tell anyone about this, I will break your fucking neck. He said that to her face. One of the only times that he broke his temper was broken. Yeah.
Oh my! And he would have.
And he told that to the police. She told that to the police, and they still were like, okay, well, you'd be surprised at how many girlfriends call about their boyfriends. And yeah. Anyway, I just thought that was crazy. Cool. He was imprisoned in a jail nearby Glenwood Springs, where he was to remain until his murder trial. At some point during the months that followed, he somehow acquired $500 and a hacksaw blade.
Ugh, that's all I want.
Yeah. $500 and a hacksaw blade. You know, for tree cutting and such.
And ice carving.
And hacksaw blade? Ice carving with a hacksaw?
I can be dainty.
Stop it. On the evening of December 30th, 1977, 10 days before the trial was scheduled to begin, he managed to escape through a crawl space. That part of the movie was awesome, too. 17 hours passed before Bundy's jailers discovered he'd escaped.
Wait, read that back.
17 hours!
Nobody looked at him?
Nobody noticed.
Or was
17
he probably,
hours.
like, put stuff in the sheets so it looked like he was asleep.
For 17 hours?
Well, if he's on the top bunk.
I mean, he must not have had a roommate, a cellie.
Or he did.
Maybe.
And he was in on it.
Oh, I don't know.
No, Ted wouldn't trust anyone like that.
Though they didn't know it, by that point, their famous prisoner had made it all the way to Chicago. All the way to Chicago. 17 hours. Goddamn. Good for him. Not good for him.
From Utah?
From
Or
Glenwood Springs. I don't know where Glenwood Springs is.
does not help.
Well, I mean, it might be in Colorado. I don't know. Bundy spent that much of New Year's first week on the road. There is some evidence to suggest that he was considering educational institutions at which he might commit his next assaults. He spent some time at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor and traveled to Atlanta before settling in Tallahassee on January 8th. Yay. There, Bundy managed to support himself through shoplifting and purse snatching on January 15th, 1978, 2.5 years after his last murder. Bundy killed again. His victims were 20-year-old Lisa Levy and 21-year-old Margaret Bowman, two Florida State University students.
So my cousin texted me and was like, oh my God, what podcast are you doing? And I said, oh, we're talking about Jack the Ripper and Ted Bundy. But it changed Bundy, like my phone autocorrected it to Bundit, as in a Bundita cake.
A bunt cake.
A Bundita cake.
Bundit. You don't
Bundita
actually
cake.
call it a Bundita cake, do you?
Bundita cake?
It's a bunt cake.
No, it's not.
Mom, I need you to confirm that it's
I'm
a bunt
messing
cake.
with you, I know.
I'll
but-
kill you.
But I like calling it a Bundita cake.
A Bundita cake. At approximately 3 a.m, Bundy broke into their sorority house and bludgeoned, strangled, and sexually assaulted the two women. 2 other members of the sorority were also beaten. Though severely injured, both survived. 8 blocks away, he invaded another house and beat a 5th student. She too survived. If you're going to beat someone to death...
Strong women, get it done.
If you're going to beat someone, make sure they're dead. I'm not saying this, like... I just don't... I don't know. You'd think a guy this angry and, like... I don't know, like... Whatever.
I didn't know that was in my pocket still.
Oh, woof.
Woof.
You'd think he would want to finish the job.
Sorry, I just found a pocket full of teeth that I didn't know I hadn't emptied out, so... That's what I was concerned about.
They're lying. That's not what happened. But
No, but that would be funny if you're part of my family.
If all of a sudden...
My family has a joke that I, like, keep teeth, like,
Ew.
in my backpack.
I love that.
Wait, I'll explain it after this.
Okay. I'm just saying, like, I just think it's interesting that Bundy, a guy that's, like, running from the police and, like, doing all these horrible things, wouldn't finish the job. I don't mean to sound horrible, I swear to God.
No, like, if you're gonna do it,
finish it.
do it for the bit.
I mean, thank God they're alive, because otherwise he wouldn't have been caught.
Absolutely.
But, like, you'd think someone
he
is
was getting
meticulous
sloppy.
and
He
smart.
He got nervous and got
and
messy.
sloppy. I just think it's crazy, because it's like, this dude, like,
That is pretty crazy
so
to say.
far has been like, oh, I'm so smart.
Okay.
On February 9th, Ted Bundy traveled to Lake City, Florida, where he abducted a 12-year-old named Kimberly Schwimmer Junior High School.
Kimberly Schwimmergy? That's what you just said.
Kimberly Leach.
I don't know how I heard
I
Kimberly
have no idea.
but
Kimberly Schwimmer. Kimberly Leach from her junior high school. After raping and murdering the girl, he hid her body in an abandoned hog shed. Although he returned to Tallahassee 3 days later, he stole a car and began a journey across the Florida Panhandle. Early on the morning of February 15th, he was stopped by a Pensacola police officer and arrested for driving a stolen vehicle. There we go. Another less of an accident, but still kind of an accident. Like, they didn't know he just murdered someone. It wasn't long before he identified and linked the sorority girl murders to Ted. Thank God. He received 2 death sentences, first for the murders of Lisa Levy and Margaret Bowman, the second for that of Kimberly Leach. During a second trial, Bundy married Carol Ann Boone, a former co-worker, as he was questioning her under oath.
Married?
He married her, remember? And that was real.
I forgot about that.
He straight up married her. A daughter, Tina, was born in October of 1982.
Where's Tina now?
I have no idea. You should look it up while I read this. Bundy spent much of the 1980s fighting his death sentence. However, as the decade was drawing to a close, it appeared all his legal options had been exhausted. Bundy then began to confess a number of murders, some unknown to authorities. He promised that more would be revealed if he was given extra time. It was a transparent ploy that did not work. In the morning of January 24th, 1989, Bundy was executed. He was strapped to an electric chair, and for nearly 2 minutes, electricity was sent through his body. His last words were, "I'd like you to give love to my family and friends."
Wait, I'm confused about this. So, I just googled Tina Bundy. It says, "Where is Molly Klepfer today? Ted Bundy's girlfriend's daughter, Tina, in real life." But
so Molly is Elizabeth's daughter.
Yeah.
And Tina is Carol's daughter.
Yeah. And then it says, "Who is Rose Bundy? True story of Ted Bundy's daughter."
What?
This is actually Bundy's ex-girlfriend Klepfer's daughter, Tina.
No, that's not right.
This is
Klepfer's daughter's Molly.
Yeah, these are all like Refinery 29, Cosmopolitan.
Hello, yes, you're wrong.
Not super scholarly.
What was the last? So, there's one thing that I do want to mention. The Carol Ann Boone's actually in this book. She's with some other guy. What is?
The amount of potential spam calls I get on a daily basis is frustrating. I just got one, is why I mention it.
What is the movie called?
Well, how much time do we have?
Like, none.
Oh, no.
Wickedly, what is it called?
Shockingly Vile.
Shockingly Vile.
Just Google Zac Efron, Ted Bundy movie.
The last lines said by the judge in that movie are the actual last lines that he said to Ted Bundy.
Yeah, which are?
I don't remember. I'm trying to look it up.
Well, I'll talk.
Please do.
I'll explain the teeth thing. So, my family was having a game night, like on Christmas, yeah? Or like by Christmas. And we had all given each other, one of the things we had all gotten was like a new board game or game to play. And my family's cool. And I had gotten 5-second rule. So that's basically you have 5 seconds and then you have to name 3 whatever. So whatever the card says. So my mom was asking me, and I had 5 seconds, and it's very stressful to name 3 things a kindergartner keeps in their backpack, or that you would find in a kindergartner's backpack. Mm-hmm. So I said, like, paper, crayons, and teeth, which to me, I was like, yeah, I remember kindergarten, first grade, when I lost there was a lot of time where I just, like, didn't have front teeth because of how I lost my teeth. Mm-hmm. But which, first of all, is a weird concept, and I'd like to discuss it more later, the process of losing a tooth. But I, like, you know, you lose it at school, they put it in a bag or in your little holder for your tooth or whatever, and then you bring it home. And for me, that was normal. But my family gives me so much crap and sends me tons of stuff about, like, teeth and things like that in our family group chat that we all have. It's just me, my parents, and my brother. But, like, so they all thought I would just, like, carry around tons of teeth in my backpack. So now I'm not allowed to say anything about teeth, or they think it's weird. Did you find what you're looking for?
Yes, I did. So he says, so it's, what's his name? Coert. His name is Judge Edward Coert. And he says, the court finds that both of these killings were indeed heinous, atrocious, and cruel, that they were extremely wicked, shockingly evil, vile, and the product of a design to inflict a high degree of pain and utter indifference to human life.
Do you think he wrote that down and planned it?
I don't know. And then it says, after sentencing him to death, cohorts told Bundy, "It is an utter tragedy for this court to see such a total waste of humanity as I've experienced in this courtroom. You're a bright young man. You'd have made a good lawyer, and I would have loved to have you practice in front of me. But you went another way, partner. Take care of yourself. I don't want to feel any animosity towards you. I want you to know that once again. Take care of yourself."
Oh my God.
I gotta go.
Yeah, me too.
I gotta go. We gotta go. The show is over.
Thank you for listening, Mom and Margaret.
Yeah,
Do we have any fun outro music?
I mean, I'm probably just gonna play some music. I could play the. What should I play?
You should play Ammonia and Bleach by Swimmers.
Okay.
It's appropriate.
I will play Ammonia and Bleach by Swimmers. Thank you for listening. I very much appreciate the attention, I guess, and I don't know. I have fun.
Yeah.
I always have fun. This is a fun show.
Stay safe.
Yeah, stay
Don't
safe.
do hard drugs.
Yeah, have a wonderful day. I guess it's middle of the day. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for tuning in.
Yes.
And goodbye.
Goodbye.